Hey, what's up, guys? Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer, with my man Brad Gilmore, as always, here. Hey, guys, welcome to another Hall of Fame. We just are trying to do this thing, trying to make it work still in this pandemic era. You know, I don't know if you guys see, man, but the White House, the pandemic has broke out even in the White House now. You saw that? It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like I think a valet, a assistant press secretary, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the president's daughter, as well.
As well as like 11 Secret Service people.
Oh, I didn't hear about the Secret Service. Dang,
yeah.
Crazy. So we're not going down yet.
No, you know what I mean. You know, but the thing is it's like a miracle. It's gonna just, go away, disappear. No, disappear.
Hopefully one day. Maybe. What was the guy's name? Was it Jiminy Cricket who would grant the wishes? Was it Jiminy Cricket? Is that who I'm thinking of? From Pinocchio, who made him into a real boy. Whatever. You know what I mean?
I didn't look at cartoons as a kid.
That's a lie. I know that's a
lie. I had no time to be looking at cartoons. Okay, man.
Oh, I know that's a lie because you and I were talking about
make some money. Speed Racer, that's a different kind of cartoon. That's not a cartoon. That's an animated cartoon. That's not like your Bugs Bunny. That's not like Bugs Bunny or anything like that. That is, like real life, situations just in cartoon form. You know what I mean? You talking about Jimmy the damn Cricket. I had time to be watching Jimmy the Cricket. You know what I mean? The hell is you talking about? Are you crazy?
Jimmy Cricket. When you wish upon a star. No?
I never watched Jimmy the Cricket, man. That wasn't my deal right there. Just got a text message here from Marty Miller at WWE. Crazy. Marty Miller's a good friend of mine, worked with WWE, camera guy. Started out back in the day, and now he's moved up the ladder. But I remember we were in Detroit, and it was a fight on that night. It was Mayweather versus Canelo, and everybody was like, man, itching to go and see that fight, right? And I searched around for man, where's the fight's gonna be shot? Calling strip clubs, I'm calling regular clubs, I'm calling sports bars, and nobody's showing the fight. But right down the street, literally from the hotel, it was this little bitty hole in the wall, right? They had the TV, they had the fight on, literally at the front door. You walk in the front door, bro. This God is my witness. I raise my right hand to the story. I walk in the front door, and literally to the right, they're frying fried chicken in this club like atmosphere. Now, there's no ventilation or anything in here for fried chicken to be getting cooked, but damn it, they cooking it up, and it's being served, and everybody's eating the hell out of this fried chicken and getting ready for this fight to come on. And literally nothing but black folks. I mean, 99.999% all brothers. So I'm cool. You know what I mean? They recognize me. They set me up in a good spot. Literally, I mean, took care of me. Carte blanche. They literally let me come behind the bar and make my own drinks that night. I'm serious, because I was Booker T. They let me in. They took care of me. And then, but I'm like off to the cut, right to the left of the door when you walk in. So when you walk in, you see nothing but the club, and I'm sitting over to the left in the cut. And lo and behold, who walks in? Marty Miller, and he's as white as you are. And Marty's eyes were like literally so big, like literally, like, what the hell have I walked into? They're cooking fried chicken, nothing but the brothers in here. And he almost looked like he wanted to turn around, and he looked to the left, and he saw me, and he goes, "Oh, Book." From that day on, he just sent me a message the rabbit is on Twitter. Ever since that day, I've been calling Marty Miller Rabbit because that's what he looked like that day.
Like a white rabbit.
Like he was getting ready to get ghosts. But I swear, man, I took care of him. We had a great time. We watched Floyd Mayweather go out there and tattoo that young man like no fighter had been tattooed before to date at that time. But it was an awesome night. I definitely got to hit Marty Miller back up, man. That's good friends right there that's thinking about you in times like this.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. That's also. Are you still though doing all right during these times? You haven't gone crazy yet, have you? Have you gotten stir crazy at all?
Yeah, man, I have, man. You know, my daughter, you know, she's a monster, literally a monster, and just trying to get through this homeschooling thing. You know, she's very, very smart, but very, very impatient at the same time. But she's unbelievably talented. She, my wife found a photo of G.I. Bro and hung it up on this board. And I'm gonna take a photo of it and send it to you. She did a drawing of it, and literally it's so striking to the photo. It's unbelievable how good of an artist she is. Yeah, so she's really, really talented, really, really smart, but it's just patience, man. Patience is a virtue, man. Patience, it really is. Yeah.
That's what they say. So they've been testing your patience, is what you're saying.
Yeah, man. Heck yeah, man. So I had to sneak out of here a couple of times this week, you know, and just go take a ride. You know, on Sunday, I actually got a chance to go play 9 holes on the golf course. And
how's your game?
Oh man, you know, I mean, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I hit actually some of my best shots that I probably ever hit. But you know, consistency is the key as far as the golf game goes. So I'm looking forward to getting back out there. The courses are open back now here, so I'll be back out there tomorrow. I got a WWE shot I got to do for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Hopefully it's for that ladder match. Hopefully they let me fly in a little commentary or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but definitely, I'm looking forward to being back. You know, back in the loop with WWE. But you know, man, I'm good, man. I'm very good, man. I'm just trying to get through this thing. Back down to school with some of the students. You know, did the virtual online school.
Yeah, how did it go
on Thursday? Man, it was awesome, man. I mean, that 1 hour went by so fast. We ended up going about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. Just talking about the science of you know, the art, Shakespeare, you know, that we talk about all the time. These young guys were so attentive to, you know, take the knowledge in, and you could tell when somebody's really, really listening and trying to understand at the same time. And you know, with this stuff, you might have to hear it, you know, 10 times before you understand it. You might have to hear it 10 different ways before you understand, you know, what it really is. You know, one of those 10 might actually click with you, you know. So it was awesome. We had a couple of technical difficulties, but it was the first time in the history of a reality of wrestling that we did something like that. But it was a small hiccup, and it had something to do with we was going to show a video, but lo and behold, we're reality of wrestling. You know, we don't plan, we improvise. You know, so we had a couple of guys there. We had a couple of guys there.
Your words have never been spoken in the history of the Hall of Fame. This is reality of wrestling. We don't plan, we improvise.
Yeah. So had a couple of guys there that did a live match in front of, you know, the online students, and hopefully they could actually be in there actually doing what that young guys was showing them do. As well, so it was pretty cool.
Well, that's awesome. Now that's for people who don't know. There's a online pro wrestling training from Booker himself, the legend, every Thursday. $25 entry. You can go to realitywrestling.com, sign up for the next course, because this first one filled up. I mean, real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, it did, man. I just want to throw a shout out to the Marines, man. That's what the Marines say. That's not one of my quotes right there.
Oh,
You know, the Marines always, taking care of us, making sure we can do what we do. So I just want to make sure they got to the right place.
yeah, but here's the thing. That's so true.
It is
It's
true.
so true when it comes to I mean, not just to reality wrestling. I think to all wrestling, right? In all wrestling, the best things come out of improvisation.
Yeah, man.
When you're not expecting something.
It's true. It really is true. For myself, that's been a way of life. Being able to, sometimes you gotta wing it. You gotta know how to act like you know how to do it, even if you've never done it before. And God told me a long time ago, if you act like it 9 times out of 10, they'll believe it. So yeah, definitely, man, definitely. But hey, man, we got a lot to talk about, man. We hopefully Jared Bullard is going to be checking in with us here to make sure we have all the betting lines right. Because, that's not my department or anything like that. And we want to make sure we get props where props due, and hopefully Jerry will be stepping inside the Hall of Fame with us, and giving his take, man, on what's going to be going down. UFC 249 going down in what's that? ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida. That's like saying the National Guard Armory.
Right. Which are also a popular wrestling venue in Florida.
Yeah,
right?
man, all over the world, man. It's National Guard armories, man. I've performed in many National Guard armories. G.I. Bro made his debut, I think, in the National Guard armory back in the day, taking on Alex Parto. So yeah, man. Much love to the armories, man, to the memorial arenas around the world, to be able to actually have the contest still take place. That's the key, more importantly than anything, because Dana White is one of those guys to where I haven't given a lot of praise to over the years. But for this one, I know he's doing it for business, but doing it for business for the fighters, I could sign off on that. As long as they're doing it the right way, like you was telling me earlier, as far as the social distancing, the fighters being tested, fighters being tested positive and being pulled, so it's definitely real. But I was doing an interview just yesterday, talking about the the movie Penance Lane, and this question came up as far as states reopening and whatnot. And I see, a lot of the reporters, they really, harp on, safety and staying at home and whatnot. But and I'm in the same position as a lot of those, reporters on television are. I could do my job from home. I still got my job, but it's really easy to say that when you have your job and you got money coming in. I always say, man, people do desperate things, when they become desperate, you know what I mean? So, I don't think we want to put the country in that state right there, because some people, I really believe, honestly, truly feel like, if I don't have it, they think that right now. I mean, I'm from the street. I know what it's like. A lot of them think right now, man, I ain't got nothing to lose right now. I'm gonna be dead in a few years anyway, so I might as well get mine. So this could end up being a situation like that. And I don't think that's anything remotely to what we are looking for in our society. So the country reopening, but reopening safely, at least as safe as we possibly can. I understand it. If something, if the bomb drop, you know what I mean, and people start dying at an enormous rate, I'm talking about casualties where we've never seen before. I would say pull back the curtain and say, man, let's slow this thing down or whatever. But I understand the people that don't have food to eat. I understand all of those people that's in those long lines waiting to get a gallon or two of milk, you know what I mean? A bag of food to last them for a couple of weeks, so I'm not finna try to judge anybody. I just wish our government help out our states a whole lot more. And I think that would make a whole lot lot of us feel a lot more safer. You know what I mean? So that's I just want to say that, man, because it's serious as hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's super serious. And I think, though, one of those states that reopened, I think, kind of before anybody was Florida. Florida was ready to go. And I think that's the reason that the UFC chose to go here. And here's the thing, was we were talking about this earlier. I think that you hit a good point right then. We got to open back up as safe as we possibly can. It might not be the best situation, but for people like these fighters who are independent contractors, who have no guaranteed money at all, and some of them, aren't in the greatest financial situations as it is currently. Even though they're professional fighters, they're getting paid 20 and 20 sometimes, or 40 and 40, and that's not going to last you through a whole year.
They broke.
Some of them might be. Some of them might be. You know what I mean? They're ready to.
I was just telling like it is, man. These guys working from paycheck to paycheck, man. These guys are trying to, survive. And the fight game, it ain't easy, bro. It ain't easy because it's all about the highs of highs and the lows of lows. You go out there and you win, and it's like a drug, man, that you've never had before. And then you go out there and lose, and if that loss is catastrophic, it could be like coming down off that drug that you've had, that you were so high on, and now you can't get any more of it. And it's just a bummer. You just fiending and to get a win. That's what the fight game is. And these guys, man, I look at this card, man. I mean, I say, wow, such an awesome card. I mean, you got some major players, on the card. You got Ferguson, you got Gaethje, Dominic Cruz, Cejudo, Ngannou, Rozenstruik. Those are big names. You got Greg Hardy on the card. You got Pettis, Cerrone. I'm trying to make a comeback off of.
You have Fabricio Werdum's on this card.
You got some players that's going to be fighting tonight, and the thing is, man, these guys need to payday. These guys need to payday, and they need it right now. It's been a while since Ferguson got in the cage and mixed up. It's been a while since Gaethje got in the cage and mixed it up. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. People can say what they want to say, man. These guys make a lot of money, but I'm gonna tell you, when those little notes keep coming in the mail every week, that's called bills. They ain't gonna stop. They're gonna keep going.
Not even a pandemic.
No, hell no. They're gonna keep coming, and you're gonna have to keep paying them some bitches. So definitely make sure these guys get their just due. I'm looking forward to a lot of these fights, man. More importantly, the Pettis Cerrone fight that's on the prelim. Yeah. Prelims are on right now.
The fight pass prelims are on right now, and then I think at 6 our time the ESPN prelims start, which are main evented by Don Cerrone and Anthony Showtime Pettis, which I think is a fight for both these guys' careers in a lot of ways. Anthony Pettis came back and he went to was he fighting at 170, I think, there for a minute. He had that win against Wonder Boy, and everyone's like, "Oh, there we go, Showtime is back." He's in the building. Hit the air horn for the man. We're back in business. And then he went up against Nate Diaz. And Nate Diaz, after spending 3 years on his couch, got up and was like, okay, let me smoke this guy real quick. And he did. I mean, he handled Anthony Pettis. And then you go and you look at Cowboy Cerrone coming off the biggest headlining fight of his career. The first time he's headlining a major pay-per-view event in Las Vegas, Nevada, against one of the biggest stars in the history of the game, and he got pieced up and beat up in about, a minute and a half, less than that. So I think that this is a crossroads for both these guys, and this is a winner-go-home fight in a lot of ways.
I'm wondering, man. I'm wondering about Don Cerrone, and Don Cerrone say he was definitely not into that fight with Conor McGregor. He say he just didn't feel it. And I understand that right there. Sometimes you just don't have a feel. And that's the way it is sometimes. I've been watching the fight game for a long time. And, I remember Lennox Lewis and Nassim Rahman, the first fight Fluid just looked lackadaisical. He just didn't look like he was there, and he went out and boom, just got knocked out. And then second fight, went out there and knocked Rockman out, in dramatic fashion because, he had his wits and he had his head about himself. I'm wondering which Don Cerrone is going to show up because Don Cerrone, he said he didn't take a dive. And I'm not going to question him, man, because, I've said I wonder. But Don Cerrone has always been a fighter. I mean, the fight with Don Cerrone and Tony Ferguson, just take that fight, for instance. Don Cerrone went out there and not one time it didn't look like he was trying to win that fight. Even at the end, it seemed like Don Cerrone knew he was going to lose. Eyes swelling up. Tony Ferguson getting stronger. I mean, that cardio, clock just seemed like it was just ticking and ticking faster and faster. It seemed like he knew he was going to lose, but it did not seem like Don Cerrone was willing to just quit that night. And I'm just wondering which Don Cerrone is going to show up tonight because I remember Don Cerrone, Anthony Pettis won. And I remember a body kick that caved Don Cerrone in the same way that Conor McGregor caved him in at the same time. And I've always said Don Cerrone have never rose to the occasion when it comes to the big fight. But is this a fight to where now Don Cerrone perhaps think he can win just because Anthony Pettis is not that highlight reel, that video game that he was when he fought him, back in the day?
I think that if I'm Don Cerrone and I've seen what Anthony Pettis has gone through lately, I feel a bit more confident, but it just depends on if he shows up tonight because he said that 2 days before the Conor fight, he knew he didn't want to do it. And I would like to talk to Don Cerrone 2 days ago and say, do you want to do this fight? And maybe because the pressure isn't as big. It's not Las Vegas, Nevada. It's not the MGM Grand. It's not the main event of the first pay-per-view of a new decade in the UFC 2020. Maybe because all that stuff isn't on. Stephen A. Smith isn't going to be cage side commenting on what's going on with Don Cerrone. Maybe since all that pressure is lessened, he can go out there and perform better. Because some guys perform better with the pressure, and then other guys perform better when it's less pressure situation. But I still think if Don Cerrone loses this, I don't think that he's going to have that same, we want to see Cowboy fight all the time. Because if you have that embarrassing loss to Conor McGregor, and then if Showtime Pettis comes out here and gives you a good one again, beats you a second time, I don't see the stock in Don Cerrone. Right now, Don Cerrone is one of those guys. He's a legendary name. Whenever we see him, we know he's going to fight every 6 weeks, it seems. Every 2 months, we're going to see Don Cerrone. He's becoming less and less of a draw to me as a fan of I want to see this guy fight. If he goes out there and wins, I'll root for Cerrone again. If he goes out there and loses, I just don't see the point.
This fight, I think, is a bone. You know what I mean? Don Cerrone is getting thrown a bone right now, but by President of the UFC, Dana White. I think just because he's been one of our guys, and we owe Don Cerrone a chance to keep his career going. So if we can put him out here against a guy like Pettis, he get a win. That keeps it going at least for one more fight. We might get squeeze 2 fights out of maybe 3, according to who we put him against. After this fight, if he can get past Anthony Pettis, I think that's what we're looking at right here. There he is.
Gary Bo Knows joins us live.
There he is. Welcome back in the Hall of Fame, man. How you feel, Doc?
It feels good. It feels good. How's it going, my guys?
Hey, man, we're just chopping it up, man. Just sitting here glazing over this 249 going down tonight. I'm just talking about Anthony Pettis and Don Cerrone mixing it up. Is Don Cerrone gonna show up tonight, or is he gonna come out and fold like a military tent?
According to odds, I don't know if you've touched any of that, but no. Over or under 2.5. That's one of my favorite bets of the night. I'm thinking under, and I wanted to touch base with y'all before I actually punched the bet in, right? But I know, Book, you always say once a man gets that chin tested and he tastes his defeat through knockout and he does it consecutively, that's trouble. And after the Conor fight, some people were saying that maybe Cerrone took a dive. I think that he's going to go in there reckless. So I think it's either going to be kill or be killed, and I think it's going to be quick.
Sometimes, man, you just play sleep. You know what I'm saying?
He did damn good.
You know what I'm saying? You say just hit me right here, and I trust me. I know all about selling, man. I know all about it, you know.
According to odds, Anthony Pettis minus 147. What do you guys think?
Pettis is the favorite going in there. I don't know if I agree with him being the favorite. I think this is an even fight. And I know that you said minus 125 or whatever it is. It's not the biggest favorite going in there, but to me, it's an even fight. I don't see either guy having an advantage here. And I just wonder too, Book, how much does the crowd not being there affect either one of these fighters? Does that help Cowboy out? Again, when we talk about less pressure to perform, does Cowboy not having a crowd there help him? Showtime Pettis, does it help him? I don't know.
You know, I don't know if the crowd is going to help or hurt either one of these guys, man. I think it's a crossroad. I think it's a crossroad for both of these fighters, and I think not having a crowd there is going to make it even more intense. I really do. I think I really feel like, you know, the odds swaying in, you know, Pettis' favor, you know, is a way to, you know, for somebody to make some money. But I really feel like this is an even fight. I really, if I had to put money on who's the tougher guy, I'm going to put my money on Cerrone in this fight. This is, like I say, this is a rematch. And I don't think it's going to be anything like it was the first fight, just because Cerrone is not the same fighter, but Anthony Pettis is nowhere near the same fighter after the beatings that he's taken from so many fighters, man. He's gotten beat up. Khabib beat him up so bad. I mean, that took years off of his career. I'm like, it's going to be a good fight, but I got my money on Cerrone.
Yeah, I'm with you. As far as if I have to pick a side, I'm on Cerrone, but whatever happens, I think it happens fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at right here at the last 5 fights for Showtime Pettis. He beats Michael Chiesa, loses to Tony Ferguson, had that 170 knockout that we talked about.
Wait a minute. That Ferguson fight also, that fight took years off his career. He took a beating. Keep going.
Well, then he beat Wonderboy Thompson when he made his debut at 170. We thought, man, maybe this is new life. And Showtime loses by decision to Nate Diaz at UFC 241, and then gets choked out in the second round at UFC 246 by Carlos Diego Ferreira. So I don't know, man.
Those are beatings. Listen to all those. Those were all wars.
Yeah. Maybe Cowboy has this one. maybe Cowboy has it.
No, he's been through some wars, and that's where his problem is going to come into play. And I don't think it's going to come into play whether he still got skills or not. Working with Duke Rufus, right? Duke Rufus coaching him. Same guy. He's coached a lot of great fighters. But I just don't think the coaching. I think. Remember I talk about how. Every time, you know, you go into one of those wars, it takes a little piece away from you every single time. And I really feel like this guy, Anthony Pettis, you look back, it doesn't seem like that long ago this guy was on the Wheaties box. It doesn't seem like that long ago that this guy was the poster boy of the UFC. It doesn't seem like that long ago when Anthony Pettis was saying, I'm on another level. Nobody can touch me. It doesn't seem like that long ago. But this guy has gone through a phase in his career, like so many fighters go through, young fighters, and we see it. You know that it's a talent, you know, level that when you reach it, you know, you're gonna start losing fights. No one in the UFC is gonna go down in the history, you know, with an undefeated record. No one is gonna go down as being the greatest because it demands, you know, way too much, and Anthony Pettis has had way too much on his plate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just pulling up there. There's his overall out of 32 fights that he's had, 22 wins, 10 losses. A lot of those coming recently, like we talked about. And let's not forget that these two fights right here, this Max Holloway and that Dustin Poirier fight that he had, man, that took a lot out of him too. Those were some brawls, man. Those are some wars that he's been through. So you might be right about Cowboy Cerrone. That's the main event of the preliminary bouts. What stands out to you, Book, about this Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro fight? Greg Hardy comes in as the heavy favorite, right, Jerry?
Yeah, minus 214.
But I want to see Karate Hardy, man. I mean, as far as we have some stuff in the prelims, and that's the fight I think I would want to check out first. I mean, the Karate Hardy, she hadn't gotten a whole lot of players of late, but she's definitely, I think, one of those fighters in the UFC that's a draw. You know, we always talk about, you know, who's the stars and the company and whatnot. Someone like her can go out there, even though she's had her ups and downs, can bounce back, you know, very, very quickly after one fight and put herself right back in the game. So definitely I'm wondering what's going to happen with that fight.
Yeah, and that's a pretty even fight as far as odds. I'm personally on Carla Esparza, but man, whenever I first saw Michelle Waterson, I ain't gonna lie, I said, you know, she's a pretty girl. I think they're giving her a little pass. You know, it is what it is. And then once I actually saw her fight, whether it be stand up or on the ground, she's elusive, she's dangerous, and this fight, it could go either way, in my opinion.
Yeah, you just wonder, you know, how much, you know, that she still got left in the tank. She's been around for a minute. It's not like she's a newbie on the block or anything like that. And same thing with the women, man. I mean, Michelle Waterson, she's gone through some wars. You know, she's got some wear and tear of the tires, and it's all about, you know, who's next. But like you say, this fight right here with Esparza, I think that's an even fight. And if I had to pick somebody, it would be Michelle Waterson.
Let me ask you something, Brad. How do you feel about a fighter that hasn't been in the ring, say, since March 2018, and then he comes into a fight as Fabricio Werdum is tonight as a huge favorite? I'm kind of confused from a Ben standpoint, and I wanted to know your thoughts.
I think that, you know, going up against Alexei Oleinik, I think that it's just a stylistic thing. When you look at Fabricio Werdum, I think his style probably is a better matchup against Oleinik than you know, somebody else that can match him up against. And then Alexei Oleinik is, man, how old is he now? He's got to be up there, right?
He's got to be close to 40. He's got to be like 40. Yeah.
He's hitting that. He's getting close to that mark. And I'm not saying Fabricio's a spring chicken or anything. He's definitely been through his series of injuries. He's been off now for, what you said, 2 years. So, but I do think that stylistically, he matches up better against Oleinik than maybe somebody else. And I think that's probably why they put him in this matchup for his return bout.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. That fight could be a toss-up. You know, like you say, being off that long for someone like Fabricio, it could actually help him because he's not a guy that's you know, want to just keep running himself. You know, like these young guys. He's been out there a minute. But Oleinik, man, that guy's like a boa constrictor, man. If he catch you, if he get his hands on you. That's the key to his wins, just getting his hands on you. But one thing about Oleinik also, if you could get past 1.5 round, you got a really good chance with him because he'll blow up. But still, if he's blown up, if he's getting his hands on you, he can still win the fight. You know what I mean? So it's going to be one of those things to where what Fabricio Werdum bring to the table tonight. You know, if he's a refreshed Fabricio, if he's just coming to pick up a paycheck.
This is going to be.
I'm also curious.
Oh, go hold 1 second.
He was suspended from the steroids, right? That's what a lot of this layoff is from. So I'm kind of curious. What do we see of him? What fighter? What was he? What is he without the steroids?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think that when you talk about the steroids, that's one thing. But the layoff is another. Now, we've seen it go one of two ways, and we're going to talk about this probably a little bit with the co-main event tonight. But some of these guys, when they're off for a little while, they come back and they're better, like a guy like a Dominic Cruz. He has that long layoff from what we thought was going to be a near career-ending injury, comes out there and whoops up on TJ Dillashaw and regains that bantamweight championship. So maybe the layoff is good for him. And then when you look at Alexei Olenek, again, this is going to be, get this book, his 73rd MMA fight. His 73rd MMA fight, and he's 42 years old. When you talk about the wars, you talk about the age, you talk about being long in the tooth. I don't know if there's anybody who's got 72, and this is going to be 73rd MMA fight. That's crazy.
I mean, he got that many fights under his belt. I mean, he's got a lot of wear and tear on the body, but he still keep going out there and pulling off a win somehow. He keep, I mean, he's had his ups and downs, but he's had more ups than downs. Is he ready to be put out the pasture? I don't know if Fabricio Werdum is the person to actually do that. I just don't know. I don't know what Fabricio still got left in the tank. At one point in time, Fabricio Werdum looked like he was going to rule the heavyweight division. It seemed like he was going to, anybody that stepped up was going to get either knocked out or get choked out with Fabricio. And then all of a sudden, Miocic, boop, right on the chin, and everything is up in smoke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things, man. You just never know how good a guy is going to be on that night. And then after 2 years, we really don't know. Stepping in there with a guy like Olenek, who's 42 years old, but still been very active. What did I say, man? Time off is your worst enemy sometimes. And we're going to find out, if Werdum still got anything left.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the ones I'm looking forward to. What else is on this card, though, booked, that you want to go into? Because I think that it's interesting that they're placing Greg Hardy in such a – I think this is a big position for him, right? They've kind of thrown him these fights to where – I don't want to say they thrown him guys to get over on, but they've pretty much thrown him guys to get over on. And I don't really see this as being all that much different. They see a lot in Greg Hardy. I just don't know if I've seen enough to think, oh, yeah, this is a guy who's going to be a threat in heavyweight division.
I don't know what, somebody sees something, Greg Hardy. You know what I mean? Somebody sees something. They're not bringing Greg Hardy in like they would bring in, a lot of guys. They are putting him out there with guys that perhaps he should be able to beat. He should be able to, beat them and then learn something at the same time, just to get in there and have that experience, and then to get yourself on a winning streak. Once you get on a winning streak, no matter how good you are, you think you're good. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious, man.
Irrational confidence.
Yeah, exactly. So I think building Greg Hardy the way the UFC have been doing is almost like the way WWE, WCW used to do back in the day, man. Get his guys a few job guys, a few,
Iron Mike Sharp.
No, Mike Sharp was a player, man. You know what I mean? No, don't give me Mike Sharp. Give me Dale Wolf.
Barry Horowitz.
Is that the same? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my thing is, I like the way they've been building him. Greg Hardy could have been one of those guys who could have been literally here today and gone tomorrow. They put him against, the brother out of Houston. What's his name?
Juan Adams.
Cracking Juan Adams. We saw he was better than Juan Adams.
Yeah.
So, one would have thought Juan Adams had a little bit of skills. And then Greg Hardy go out there and toast him up real quick. So I got to give Greg Hardy a little bit of credit until they put him in with someone. And if you have to, go through this, building process to get there, I'm cool with that. I ain't going to hate on him. Some of the stuff, some of the antics, sometimes you got to do that stuff to get people to watch you, notice you, So I'm not going to hate on Greg Hardy. I want to see exactly what he do tonight. You go out here and put off another win, we'll see what happens next.
What happens, though, if he goes out and looks terrible like he has? At what point does the UFC have to say, you know what, maybe he isn't a good fighter?
Well, he got to lose first. The thing is, it's just like CM Punk. The CM Punk would have just won, and then he would have won the next one. They wouldn't have cared how he looked. As long as he kept winning, we'd have kept booking him. You know what I mean? So that's what that experiment is about. Those kind of experiments. You know, look at Mickey Gall. You know what I mean? If Mickey Gall would have kept winning, you know, I mean,
he would have probably had a title shot by now.
He would have been on the card tonight.
Yeah,
yeah. It's about going out there and winning. And I think as long as Greg Hardy continued to win, it's going to be some building blocks there for him to where they can say, hey, man, he's getting better.
I mean, but I think that you're right, Book. He's got to go out there and get people who are, you know, early on in their MMA career, maybe have not fought the toughest competition in the world. Because I remember it was, I don't know, a couple months ago, they were talking about Francis Ngannou and Greg Hardy. You remember that? They were going to do it overseas.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about that one, man.
I
want to take a knee on this
funeral.
Yeah. Talking about going to Saudi and doing that one.
Yeah, something like that. I'm like, are you sure you want to go through with that one, my brother?
Man, but that's the thing, man. That's the thing. But I give him credit for actually wanting to step up and say he want to have that kind of fight. But I'm not gonna, hate on him. I wasn't a huge Greg Hardy fan in the beginning or anything like that, just because, like I say, the antics. But like I say, there again, you got to be able to, make yourself stand out when you're in that type of business. We look at guys, right now, they're going out and doing even crazier stuff than Greg Hardy to make people look at him. So I give him credit for going out there and winning first and foremost. And if you can win tonight, I'm going to stay on the Greg Hardy bandwagon to the next fight.
All right, Jerry, you were talking about it. Let's get the odds for this Francis Ngannou versus Rozenstruik. This is a fight that I don't know exactly how it's going to go down. I don't know if it could either go one or two ways. And this is the thing I'm scared about. Remember the last time we saw Francis Ngannou in there with a guy who likes to stand in the middle and mix it up, typically? That was Derek Lewis. We remember that fight. It was really bad. It was one of the worst fights anyone's ever seen. These two guys had a similar kind of matchup to where these are two guys who like to stand in the middle and throw hands. And I'm just afraid that either it's going to be the greatest heavyweight fight tonight on the card, or it's going to be one where they circle the ring for 3 rounds. And I just don't want that to happen.
As far as odds, real quick, anytime that Ngannou's on a card, I always think that he's going to be so heavily favored. Today, he's only minus 240, and that's low for an Ngannou fight. What do you think about that, Book?
I mean, he's fighting against a guy that he doesn't know a whole lot about. We don't know a whole lot about.
Right.
We know he's a kickboxer. We know right now what he's 10-0. You got 9 knockouts. Last person he fought was Alistair Overeem. He KO'd him. We do know that. So he's a big guy. 6'2", 260. That's a big guy. Ngannou, there again, a guy who have shown a lot of promise, a guy who's shown that looked like he might be the next level in the heavyweight division. But there again, the Derek Lewis fight made us question, what Ngannou's heart was all about. And then we say, man, those guys, they go out and mix it up. You know what I mean? Come on, guys, fight. It's one of those type of deals.
I remember he was coming off the Stipe fight where he kind of got rattled a little bit.
Exactly. And that's what I was talking about. Even then, I said, man, you don't know what is going on in the middle of that ring, between both of them. Because, Derek Lewis normally a guy that's a headhunter, a guy that's, moving forward, a guy that's looking to search and destroy, you know what I mean? But both of those guys that night was leery. This fight right here, it could be the same way, but I don't think so. I don't think Ngannou won another one like that, on his record, because I think out of all the wins Ngannou got up until that fight, I think he got, more criticism than praise for going out there and fighting that way from Dana White, than ever. You know what I mean? I'm serious. Right. It was like, all the wins, were nothing compared to that one fight where he went out there and looked crappy. He didn't go out and fight like a warrior. He didn't get it
having a big ego.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It was crazy. You know what I mean? So I think just having that, in the back of his head, knowing that, you know, the UFC is always looking not just for the UFC are not just looking for good fighters. The UFC, they're looking for guys that's going to go out there and fight.
Right.
And that's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
And if you look at his opponent, that's exactly what he does. Outside the Overeem fight, look at this. His fight prior to that, 29 seconds. Prior to that, 9 seconds. Prior to that, 54, 10 seconds. None outside of a minute.
Exactly. So I think this fight's going to be a whole lot different. As well as Ngannou, his career is kind of on the line tonight. It really is.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I agree.
Because, you know, we don't need two big black guys.
Okay, I take that back. I don't agree. I no longer agree.
I was just saying.
Where's the drop button?
Where's the drop button? Do I have one over here?
No, man, that's the way they're thinking. I'm serious. And they're like, man, look, we already got one. You know what I mean? We don't, y'all guys go fight it out. Whoever wins get the push. You know what I mean? that's just the way it is, man. I'm sorry. But
there's a lot of guys though, guys in the heavyweight division, right? I mean, Overeem, you have Rozenstruik, Ngannou, Daniel Cormier,
Derek Lewis.
Well, they did the Ngannou Lewis thing experiment, right?
That's true. Okay.
What happened? What happened?
They did Lewis and
the thing is, they did that experiment and almost fired both of their asses.
Who you got in this fight, though, Book? Who you got?
You know what, man? I'm gonna go with Rozenstruik, man.
Woo.
You know, Rozenstruik being a former kickboxer, you know, a guy that's got some time under his belt as far as going out there and knowing the art of pugilism. I'm gonna go with Rozenstruik. You know, I know he's the guy that's not expected to go out here and win this fight, but I look at Ngannou just like a really good street fighter, man. He's a guy that look like you catch him in the street, you know, he can go. And it's a lot of brothers out there like Francis Ngannou. It's a ton of guys that's out there right now that's walking around in Detroit, and Chicago, Houston, you know, right now they can do the same thing Francis Ngannou doing. He's just a really good fighter, guy that can fight. You know what I mean? And, you know, you get him in a situation, he hit that big shot. You know, he looked like he's the next coming. You know what I mean? But as far as him being a true polished fighter, he's not that. And I think Rozenstruik is going to go out and win the fight. That's just my opinion.
You know, Book, I actually 100% agree with you. When I was looking at Rozenstruik, I was looking at a lot of the game tape, and I'm looking at this guy who has 70+ kickboxing fights. And I think he's won 60+ by knockout, right? And you look at that skill set matched up against a Francis Ngannou, not only can Rozenstruik fight with his hands, he can fight with those feet too, and those kicks is something that I don't think Francis is always looking for, especially from a guy in the heavyweight division. We don't see a lot of kicks thrown in the heavyweight division. We see a lot of punches thrown, a lot of big shots. Sometimes you're going to get some wrestling on the ground, but I'm agreeing with you 100%, and I think Rozenstruik is going to go out there and do it, and I think he's going to get it done in the first round.
At plus 216, you heard the pick here, Booker and Brad on the big underdog.
Take that money.
Man, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. That's just the way I see it, man. I don't know. When the last time Ngannou was in the ring? When the last time he fought?
He fought not too long ago. He fought who did he just fought? Who did he just fight? I can't remember.
I remember myself.
He just fought here. I'll look it up because I remember seeing him fight not too long ago. Francis Ngannou last fought
JDS.
Junior Dos Santos. Yeah, that's who it was. Junior Dos Santos.
Yeah, JDS.
That was actually almost a year ago now. I can't believe it.
And he's coming off of 3 big wins. JDS Kane and Curtis Blades. And so he's coming off 3 big wins. Having that time off though, you know, being away, you know, from the game for a minute could make him hungry. You know, going through this pandemic, man, right now, you know, you need some money on the table. And when you're in the bush, you know what I mean? You know exactly what it's like not having food on the table. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. I think Francis Ngannou gonna bring the noise, but I do not think he's gonna win the fight.
All right, Jerry, tell us the breakdown for the bantamweight championship fight: Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz.
Cejudo's coming in at -186, over under 4.5 rounds. To the juices on the over, so they're predicting Cejudo and the over.
So 120. What was it? What 182?
186. So almost 2-1 favorite Cejudo.
What do you think, Book, about that? Dominic Cruz is a guy who, again, maybe has some of the worst injury luck for a guy as talented as he is, but he's been able to come back and still be a champion. Now, I think that his biggest, I don't want to say embarrassment, but a guy when he went out there against Cody Garbrandt and just kind of got rocked and got, taken advantage of and just made to look less than. I don't know how much that took off of Dominic Cruz as we knew him. Going into this fight, this is a guy who's going to only be able to train coming off of a 2-year layoff for, 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, something like that, 3 weeks. I don't know if that's enough to go against Henry Cejudo, Olympic caliber guy, 2-division champion. As much as I think that Dominic Cruz's skill set could get it done, I just don't think that with the layoff and the amount of time he had to prep, I just don't see if it's a possibility for him to go out there and beat Henry Cejudo.
Oh man, I don't know how long ago was it Dominic Cruz versus Uriah Faber in the WEC? How long ago that fight was?
Ooh, man.
They're going all the way back.
A lifetime ago.
Yeah,
no,
really.
I'm serious. That's what I'm talking about here. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And that right there, what I mean by that is
2011. So almost a decade ago.
2011. And I think about that because I think about Dominic Cruz, man, how long he been in the game, how long he's been doing it.
I'm sorry, the first fight was 07. I'm sorry.
07. Yeah, I thought it had to be a little bit. Yeah, I mean, man, that's been a long time ago. My kids are 9 years old, man. That was way before my kids were ever born. And so that was a long time ago that Dominic Cruz went out there and performed at the highest levels. You know what I mean? That's when he was really starting to take off and he's really starting to learn. He lost that first fight and then he came back, won the second fight, won the third fight as well. But my thing is the injuries. The way he actually goes out and fight, he puts so much stress on his body just from round to round. He actually works harder than the guy that he's fighting, no matter whether any punches are getting landed or not. So I'm thinking in a fight like, tonight with Henry Cejudo, it's Dominic Cruz going to have anywhere near that same movement that he had back in the day? No. Is he going to try to replicate it and try to make it look the same? Of course he is. But what's going to happen in this fight is Henry Cejudo is going to wear him down within 5 minutes and put him on his back and beat the hell out of him, and that fight is going to be stopped.
I agree.
Yeah, I just don't think, like you said, I just don't think that he has enough to go out there and get it done. I mean, this is a guy, though, who went out, and I'm looking at his record right now, and just the guys that he's gone out there and been able to beat. It's been a pretty impressive list of guys, including a common opponent for both of them, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, beating TJ Dillashaw after that big layoff, Uriah Faber. The loss to Cody Garbrandt, was back in 2016. So, I mean, he's been off for a long time. I just think that that's what's going to do it. I don't think it's because of his skill set. Like I said, I think he could get it done if he were not as laid off as he's been and able to get a better camp in. But I'm with you. I want Dominic Cruz to win. I want him to win. I just don't think that he is going to win. Because what a story it would be if he could pull it off. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it'd be a great story. It'd be a great story. I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think he got, the will and left in his body to be able to go out there and compete with a guy like Henry Cejudo, who has been spectacular as of late.
Yeah, no, he's been on.
Does it
level.
go under, do you think, or does it hit decision?
No, like I said, I think the fight's going to be stopped.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be stopped.
There's money to be made. That's at plus money, y'all. Any gamblers out there right now? He's throwing out underdog picks today. I like it.
It's going to be stopped. It's going to be stopped. That's the way it's going to be. But the main event, man, event, Ferguson Gaethje. That's the fight right there. People, they wanted to see this fight, even though they didn't even know they wanted to see it. This is the one right here that's going to be one for the ages. Tony Ferguson has been one of those guys that fight at a very, very high level. It's going to be for the interim championship. Gaethje could slip on a banana peel and become champion tonight to set him up for a mega fight. Stepping into the UFC, man, from where did he come from? Bellator? Where did he come from? Came from Bellator, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, it's the only Bellator guy to never come over here to the UFC and pull something off like that. Am I right or wrong on that?
I'd have to go back and just see. Sometimes, guys go in there for a minute or two, but I'm looking to see where I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm talking about to take it to this. No, he came from Bellator, but to take it to this level, yeah. I mean, to come from Bellator and take it to this level.
He was from World Series of Fighting.
No, he did from Bellator also, I think.
Rage in the Cage. No Bellator.
Man,
not that I'm seeing.
And I'm all off today, man. Yeah.
World Series of Fighting, though, he was in there for a minute.
No, I mean, all he did was go out and knock people out, and everybody always wondered, man, how good this guy really is. And then he come to UFC. Michael Johnson fight.
Knock people out.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah. But the Michael Johnson fight when he come to UFC, he almost got knocked out himself, but he composed himself, got himself back together, and and the thing is, engaging is something he don't mind doing. Is going out there and getting into a fight. But the guy's he's an All-American wrestler. He can do it all. He can actually go out there and get on the ground and handle his business. So he's well-rounded, a well-rounded wrestler that just love to fight. In a situation like this with Tony Ferguson, I think it's going to be a match made in heaven, because Tony Ferguson is a guy who go out there and just throw punches, and throw kicks, and they look to the naked eye, to the untrained eye, it can look like he's just out there throwing punches. It doesn't look like he's actually got anything set up or any science to it or anything like that. But I beg to differ. The guy, he has to know what he's doing to have made it this far in that division in the UFC. So I'm not going to say he doesn't know what he's doing, but I think he could find himself in a certain position with a guy like Justin Gaethje, with a guy like Khabib. And I said that, you know what I mean, because he's so out of, touch with himself sometimes. And seemed like to get caught with a shot wouldn't be something out of the ordinary. And for a man to go to sleep after getting caught with a shot is not something, out of the ordinary as well. So I think I'm picking Justin Gaethje to go out there and win that fight tonight.
Who does that benefit the fight getting pushed back? As in, if they would have fought then, would it have been better for Ferguson to get a random opponent, or does it go against him now that Gaethje has more time to game plan? Who do you think benefits?
Well, I think for more time, Gaethje has to benefit from being able to have that extra few weeks to prepare. And Tony just probably went through a vigorous fight camp. And by the way, still wanted to cut weight to make weight on the day he was supposed to fight. I don't know exactly why he did that, just putting his body through extra torture that he doesn't need to. But I think if you have more time to game plan, it helps Gaethje out. But it also, it kind of helps Tony, don't you think, Book?
You know what I mean? I think extra time is good for both of these guys because, Ferguson needed time to, just feel out, okay, I got to totally regroup here. Got to totally think a different way. For, Gaethje getting the fight on short notice and then just to have a little bit of extra time, it's definitely going to, put him in a mindset to where any extra time is going to be good for him, just to get a little bit extra training in, more reps, so I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it.
The thing I have about this fight is we know that Tony likes to go in there. He's a guy who likes to go in there. He likes to get hit. He likes to take a few punches and start kind of rumbling about. And then after the second, halfway through the second round, maybe third round, he kicks it into full gear. I'm just worried that he's going up against a guy who might be the most powerful guy at 155. When you talk about knockout, hit, one punch power, you talk about Justin Gaethje might be the most dangerous guy in that division. And I don't know how smart it would be for Tony to go out there and try to take a few shots from Justin before they really start getting into the mix of it, because it could be a short night for Tony Ferguson.
Man, I can't, dictate or determine, what someone like Tony Ferguson will be going through in a fight. Just because sometimes fighters, man, They're different type of animals, man. They're different type of people. And Tony Ferguson, he's definitely one of those type. He seemed like the type that need to get hit in order to, understand where he's at. He seemed like he needs to get hit to actually motivate himself, to fight even harder. Some fighters just need, the Gaethje Ward fight. You know what I mean? You go back to, Tiro Gaethje and Mickey Ward, and those guys, man, it seemed like they were blocking every punch with their face. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm serious, man. It was like, hit me and I hit you.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we'll hug and we'll, laugh about it. Some fighters need that. And Tony Ferguson seemed like he's one of those type of animals that he needs to be prodded in order to be able to go hard as he needs to.
How far down the ladder? Because as dominant as Ferguson has been, say he loses, right? Let's just say, and that division is so live right now, and the ladder to fight Khabib is so many people around it. How far down does he fall? In other words, do we lose a little bit of the smoke that's behind Ferguson Khabib if Ferguson was to lose?
Yeah, man, if Ferguson loses this fight, he definitely falls down the ladder. Of course, yeah. That's just the way the fight game is. Justin Gaethje automatically get, catapulted to the top. And then everybody's not going to care about the Ferguson Khabib fight if he loses. It's just part of the game. It's just part of the fight game. He has to win this fight in order to keep everything intact as far as his career goes. Tony Ferguson has to win this fight. Can he win it? Will he win it? That's another story. He needs this fight so much more than Gaethje in so many different ways, because Gaethje, he hadn't been the guy who has been talking about getting to the title or anything. He just started talking about he want to be champion. Before now, Gaethje's just been wanting to be the human highlight reel, in the UFC. So for him, it will be, a lottery ticket, and, getting the championship. But for Ferguson, there again, I talk about those highs and lows of lows. It would be the lowest of low for Tony Ferguson's career if he was to go out there and lose this fight tonight.
It would just ruin his trajectory, right? I mean, he's been on the steep uphill, right? He's been continuing to go up on that roller coaster. Sure, there's been setbacks with injuries and unfortunate situations like that. And this Khabib fight has been, cursed. I really think that if there's ever been a fight in the history of the UFC, it's been cursed. But for him to go out there tonight and lose against Justin Gaethje, again, it's just where does he go from there? I think that you've got a Conor fight that you could go to. And I think, Book, you and I talked about this earlier on the phone. Like, loser gets Conor, winner gets Khabib. They're both in pretty good positions to make some good money and to have a lot of eyeballs on them. But that's just the way that I would, book it if I was doing the matchmaking over at the UFC. But Tony Ferguson, I think, has to go out there and win. I agree with Book. To have that Khabib fight, to be interim champion, to have the unification fight again, 6 times the charm, hopefully. And then a Justin Gaethje-Conor McGregor fight interests me in a whole lot of ways. I think that these two guys going out there and throwing hands and seeing which hand touches the other one's chin first and puts him to sleep, that would be a phenomenal fight. I think tonight, though, this has the potential to be one of the most violent, bloody, and disgusting fights we've ever seen in the UFC. We see what Tony Ferguson's opponents look like after he gets through with them. You talked about Showtime Pettis. You talked about Donald Cowboy Cerrone, what they look like when they were fighting Tony Ferguson, and then Justin Gaethje's another one. So I think these two guys might look unrecognizable at the conclusion of this main event tonight. And I really can't pick who's going to go out there and win. It's a really hard one for me.
The odds read as, well, when it opened, Ferguson was around -170. Now it's crossed -200. And I think is the public doesn't, they look at it, they say Ferguson, Gaethje, who's this Gaethje guy? I got to go Ferguson, and that's trouble. That's how those lights in Vegas stay on and so pretty, and we know about those lights.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I say, that's the way I see it. I see this fight being a good fight, but I'm thinking Justin Gaethje is going to win this fight. It can't be by decision. It's got to be by knockout. Right. It's got to be by tap out. And with both of these guys right here, if it was going to go by tap out, I'm going to go with Tony Ferguson. If you're going to go by knockout, I'm going to go with Gaethje. But I'm going to go with Gaethje just to win the fight. Just stay safe.
We'll see. Those are the fights coming down tonight. UFC 249, less than an hour away. But before we get out of here, we did say we're going to talk about Money in the Bank real quick. You mind if I run down the card? You just kind of give me your overall thoughts real quick about the card?
Yeah, man, most definitely.
All right, let's start with the SmackDown Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way. The new champions, the New Day, going against Miz and Morrison. The Forgotten Sons, which are the new call-ups from NXT, and the Lucha House Party. What are you thinking, Book?
I think the Forgotten Sons going to get a shot, man, get a rub. I think it's time for the influx of new talent to get a shot in the arm, to move up the ladder. It's just one of those deals, anytime you got new talent, on the roster and they're good. And I've been watching these guys, man. They're actually pretty innovative as far as what they bring to the table. So, yeah, let's get the young guys a rub.
All right, let's go SmackDown Women's Championship. You have the champion Bayley defending against the returning Tamina.
To hell with Bayley.
Let's go to the Universal Championship match. The new champ Braun Strowman in his first defense against not the Fiend, just Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, man. Like I say, Bray Wyatt, he slipped on the banana peel, man, and got the championship. I say, man, when you slip on the banana peel and get the title, you're happy, but you're pissed off at the same time. You feel like you got something to prove. So I feel like Braun Strowman is going to go out there and, hold on to the championship.
All right, speaking of new champs, WWE champion Drew McIntyre defending against Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah.
No, I like the matchup with these two guys, man. Drew McIntyre is a guy that's, stepped up to the occasion, the rise and fall and, the rise of McIntyre all over again, be back as, the world champion. That's awesome for him. Seth Rollins is a guy who's definitely a player who knows every inch of the ring. I think those two working together is going to be a match made in heaven. And I think they can work together for at least a good 6 months. Keep this thing rolling as far as title changing back and forth. I don't know who's going to, how the match is going to lay out, but I feel like Drew is going to walk away champion.
All right, now we have the two Money in the Bank matches that could go on simultaneously. The first ever climb the corporate ladder. The superstars are going to start at floor 1 of WWE HQ, have to work their way up 10 floors to the top of the building, climb the ladder, and get the briefcase. These matches are going to go down at the same time, but let's start with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Shayna Baszler, Asuka, Nia Jax, Lacey Evans, Carmella, Dana Brooke. Definitely, you could go any way. Maybe smart money is on Shayna Baszler, after coming up WrestleMania. Maybe Asuka. What do you think?
No, I said Shayna Baszler, man. I mean, you got to keep the momentum going with Shayna, especially after the, stronghold she's been putting on the women's division. Since she stepped up from NXT, she's got momentum. You don't want to break that or anything like that. Of course, you could slip somebody else in there and put the Money in the Bank briefcase in somebody else's hand and be able to go out there and cash in. But who better to hold that briefcase in their hand than someone like Shayna Baszler and can cash it in whenever she wants? Because right now she's the one that's hot.
All right, and finally, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. You have Otis, Rey Mysterio, King Corbin, Aleister Black, Daniel Bryan, and the phenomenal AJ Styles back after the Boneyard match. Who you got winning this one, Book?
Hey, man, big shout out to David Cage for the super
the super chat.
Super chat right there. Appreciate that. But I got AJ Styles, man, because AJ, that's to say my logo this kid got as well. Phenomenal AJ Styles. I got AJ Styles just because AJ has been the guy that, like I said, on Backstage, he's been champion all over the world, every organization that he's been in. He's a guy that came into WWE. A lot of guys, before AJ got there, didn't think he could work out and make it in the WWE. And he's come and he's excelled well beyond the expectations of many. So I say you reward, someone like AJ and, you let this guy have that history-making career in WWE, and it would be no better winner than a guy like AJ to go out there and pull that thing off, especially after getting buried by the Undertaker.
Literally buried, not in the backstage sense of the word, right?
yeah. Get this guy over, man.
Let's get him over. Well, I think that we're going to see what happens tomorrow. Money in the Bank, Mother's Day. We're gonna have the Money to Make pay-per-view. Booker T's gonna be on it, so I'm excited, but I'm ready to see these prelims.
Yeah, man, I'm getting ready for the prelims myself. I got to figure out how I'm going to order this pay-per-view because I definitely got to see that as well. But hey, man, same place, same time next week. I don't know. Next week we're gonna be on it sometime. We don't know. Just stay tuned.
We'll be on. We just don't know what time. Probably Wednesday.
Exactly.
And we have one last super chat though, real quick. Jamie Potter said, "Hey Booker T, much love from Scotland." Gave us those €5. So
man,
shout out
all the way from Scotland, man. I appreciate you guys from all overseas, man, all over the world. Hey, man, tune in to the online reality of wrestling, man. All you young wrestlers out there that want to be a part of, the business, that's wondering, trying to find out how do I, get into this secret society. Well, let me call Booker T. And maybe I could, first join in on one of the online classes, and then from there, guys, you never know where it may take you. The journey is limitless. So, guys, check us out starting on Thursday, 6:00. Be there, be square. But guys, let's get up out of here. Bradley, Jerry, I appreciate you guys as always. Appreciate seeing you, Jerry. Stay safe out there, man. Stay safe out there. Bradley, hopefully you can get in on this 9 holes tomorrow if you want. But hey guys, we appreciate y'all. We're in the Hall of Fame. We out of here.